Hi folks, I'm Chris Corbran, Program Manager with the Pennsylvania Environmental Council, and I serve as the external lead for the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape. Thanks for tuning in to the 2025 Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape Mini Grant Program Pre-Application Meeting. So to start, we're going to take a little bit of time and chat about the Conservation Landscape Program. Sometimes we dive right into the details of the grant program and we kind of skip over the important parts of the landscape program. So just to give you a quick rundown, I mentioned I serve as the external lead on behalf of the Pennsylvania Environmental Council for the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape. My counterpart at DCNR's Bureau of Recreation and Conservation is Adam Mattis, and Adam serves as the internal lead for this program. Each of the conservation landscapes throughout Pennsylvania has a similar internal and external lead setup, but they're all a little bit different otherwise. You can see on the map, the Laurel Highlands is the green in the southwest, but we have a few others that you might recognize by name throughout Pennsylvania. The most important thing to remember about the Conservation Landscape Program is that it's really a model for collaboration and a collaborative approach to ecosystem scale planning that is really shepherded by DCNR. I think many of you would agree that partnerships can be super impactful and beneficial in bridging some of the geographic challenges in our area and the challenges with scale as well. We also know that projects, as they get increasingly complex, benefit from having a number of different skill sets and perspectives in the room. To reiterate, our Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape region covers that green area on the map and includes the counties of Westmoreland, Fayette, Somerset, and Cambria. Always like to put this slide in there. This is our old-timey switchboard operator slide, and I think this is a good analogy for how we approach work in the conservation landscape. We're always trying to make connections between partners, people, organizations, agencies, funding opportunities, research, and everything else in between. There's a lot going on over this area, and we have a number of really strongly invested folks who have been working in this space for decades. But that doesn't mean there aren't new opportunities to explore, and I think that's where Adam and I try to hone our focus. I added this slide into the presentation just to try to show and illustrate some of the different entities we try to pull into the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape orbit. We have our nonprofit partners in the bottom right. We also are always trying to interface with some of our planning partners, whether it's our MPOs in the area or county planning. We also have specific municipalities and other agencies beyond DCNR that we're always trying to bring into the fold. Here are the vision and mission of the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape. The vision reads that the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape is a vibrant region celebrated for its natural resources, outdoor recreation, heritage assets, and thriving communities for all. I think we can all agree that that is a lofty goal worth pursuing. When it comes to the mission, though, there's one thing that I think we can consider a key takeaway, and that is that the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape facilitates collaboration, really. So this idea of collaboration and networking is key, and that is the approach that we take to bring all these different and sometimes disparate elements together around conservation, visitor experience and tourism, climate resiliency, and a host of other ideas into one central planning effort. So as the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape is really this broad regional effort to tie together a number of different partners beyond their immediate focal geography, we suggest that a similar approach be taken in the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape Mini-Grant Program. This approach could mean a bunch of different things, but we really encourage folks to think beyond their backyard. So if you're working on a project or you're proposing a program, think about where else you could hold a session or another site that would benefit from a similar treatment. without really a big extra expenditure of time and effort. If it just requires a little bit of encouragement or a few extra dollars, I think that's something worth considering to really make your project as possible. So let's dive into some details about the mini grant program. For starters, this program is supported by the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Environmental Stewardship Fund through the Bureau of Recreation and Conservation and administered by the Pennsylvania Environmental Council. This program is a reimbursement funding program, so you'll need to take care of all of your expenditures, and then as you close out the project or program, we will reimburse you for costs incurred throughout that project or program. We have $60,000 in total to distribute in this round, and grant requests should be between $1,000 with a hard cap of $10,000 per project. Any grant funds that you do receive must be matched at a ratio of 1:1. Match can be cash, it can be eligible in kind, or can be a combination of both. Just remember that these projects cannot be matched to other DCNR funded grant projects. Also keep in mind that we've set a total project cost cap of $50,000. The $50,000 cap is consistent with the mini part of the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape Mini Grant Program. If you start to experience and incur costs that are beyond that $50,000 mark, there's a good chance another grant program is maybe a better fit for your project. Here are some important dates for you to keep in mind as you start thinking about your application to the mini grant program. The grant round will open on November 7th, 2025. That is a Friday. And the grant window will stay open until December 29th. We hope to announce grant awards at the end of February 20th, 2026. And we're giving awardees until mid-September to complete their projects. Eligible applicants include municipalities, municipal agencies, educational institutions, and nonprofits incorporated as a 501c3. Whether or not you fall under the requirements of Pennsylvania's Bureau of Charitable Organizations, you must be registered and have proof of your BCO status. The funding for this program is from the Environmental Stewardship Fund, and it is a requirement of this funding, and it is legislation that you must be registered with the Pennsylvania Bureau of Charitable Organizations. 501c3 applicants will need to provide proof of both their nonprofit status and their BCO registration, and you will be asked to upload these in the application process. If currently you are working towards getting your BCO, you can just upload a note saying that you're working on it and you'll have it by the time we're ready to contract. Otherwise, you won't be able to submit your application. As I mentioned, you will need to have your BCO status in hand before we execute a final contract. Projects must be in one of the 4 counties of the Laurel Highlands, and these are Cambria, Fayette, Somerset, and Westmoreland counties. And eligible projects must align with one of the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape's core priorities: outdoor activities, conservation, tourism visitor experience, and sustainable communities and climate resilience. Applicants should consider their projects to be a 1-year project, and eligible project types can include things like educational programs or workshops, special purpose studies, implementation projects, trail development, connectivity, and/or enhancement type projects. Eligible reimbursement costs. Contracted or professional service costs can be provided under contract or professional service agreement with the grantee to perform all of or part of the official and designated scope of work. In-house professional costs include the grantee's paid staff for services to conduct part of or all of the activities needed to execute the project or program. In-house professional services are, tabulated using an established billable rate, which includes the employee's hourly wage, fringe benefits, and other operational overhead costs. The billable rate should be officially established by the grantee's governing body. Other project costs can include miscellaneous things like room rentals, printing, postage, and travel. The most important thing to remember on this slide is that all of the costs incurred must have occurred during the grant agreement contract period. Ineligible expenses. Anything that has happened prior to the date that is on your signed contract will be considered an ineligible expense. If there's a cost or an activity that happens outside of that 4-county area, that will be considered ineligible. Any fundraising or lobby activities will not be covered by this grant program, and any third-party re-granting type of activities are also ineligible for reimbursement. Let's chat about match. Contracted and professional services will include costs incurred by the grantee under contract and professional service agreement to perform all or part of the official scope of work. In-house professional services, these include a mini-grantee's paid staff time to perform all or part of the approved activities in the scope of work. And just like the conversation about eligible costs, these must be matched to a billable rate established by the mini-grantee's governing body. Volunteer services, these include non-skilled services that are not paid for by the grantee to, once again, perform all or part of the official scope of work. Donated professional services include services provided at no cost to the grantee by individuals possessing specialized skills or expertise that is necessary to perform all or part of the official scope of work. We require a form from the donating professional that documents the work tasks and associated value of the service being provided. We provide the grantee with an in-kind match documentation form that you can use to document this match. Finally, equipment use also falls under the eligible match category. And any donated equipment or materials that are provided at no cost to the grantee can be considered eligible match. Whether in the form of cash or in-kind, match may be used only once. If it has been counted as match for another project or program or grant, it cannot be used again as match no matter who funded the project. We've made 2 changes in the recent rounds specific to how we ask questions of the applicant related to the need and partnerships. So instead of asking for applicants to identify in planning documents like comprehensive plans or statewide plans, how their project aligns, we're really just asking applicants to describe the need that their project meets and fulfills, and how they actually recognize that need. Similarly, we know that partnerships are important, but they're not always 100% necessary. Think about the role partners play in making your project as impactful as possible, and make sure that those key partners do provide letters of either commitment if they're providing a specific service, or just general support if they're just a party who is interested in making sure your project is a success. We've tweaked this section a little bit as well. Goals, measurements of success, and actions. Please keep a tight eye on these different definitions. A goal is a broad statement of what you want to accomplish and the final impact you want to achieve. What change are you looking to affect through this project? A measurement of success is a deliverable. It should be succinct and quantifiable. Sometimes these are referred to as outputs. And actions are really the tasks and the other work that you will be doing in order to achieve your outcome and ultimately meet your goal. Let's look at some different examples. A good goal could be residents understand the importance of water conservation, natural resources, stormwater management, and native flora and fauna for our communities. It's pretty broad, it's pretty lofty, but it's encompassing enough and presents a change that we would like to see through this project. In our example for a measurement of success, we have 5 educational signs produced and installed at project location. It's quick, it's tight, and we have a number associated with it, so we'll be able to measure whether or not we've achieved that step. Our action example reads, collaborate with community partners and subject matter experts to offer educational programs and provide text for interpretive signs. That's the work that is necessary in order to hit that measurement of success and ultimately further that goal. The budget template for the mini grant program is in the application. You'll need to download the budget form, complete it, and then re-upload it to the application portal prior to hitting submit. You have to use our budget form for this program just so we can stay consistent across our different projects and programs. If you run into any hurdles with this one, just reach out and we'll make sure we're all on the same page. A couple don't forgets while you're completing your application. Make sure to include your nonprofit documentation in your BCO form. Make sure that your budget is complete and it is attached to your application before you hit submit. And if you have any partners who are committing specific services or general support, make sure that those letters are attached. Here are the criteria we'll be using to evaluate each application. The maximum point number available for each application is 50. And take a solid look at the different criteria we'll be using. Project is clearly described, complete, and concise. Project goals, measurements of success, and actions are clear. Project advances 1 or more landscape priorities as listed on the application. Application clearly identifies the need for the project or program. Budget is comprehensive and adequate to complete the scope of work as defined, and funding and match funding is secured. Project outlines the role of partnerships, and the application includes letters of support from those key partners. Let's hit some of these important details one more time. Applications are due 5 p.m. on Monday, December 29th. We plan to announce grant awards in February of 2026. Upon receipt of your fully executed contract, your project tasks can begin, and projects need to be completed by Friday, September 18th of 2026. Applications are completed through an online portal called Submittable. They are accessed by visiting the PEC website, www.pecpa.org/apply. As you scroll to the bottom, you'll see a link to apply to our different programs, and you'll just need to find the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape mini grant link from that list. Submittable will prompt you to create a name and sign in if you don't have one already, and you can begin your application straight away. You won't need to complete your application in one straight shot. You can start it, you can save it, you can come back to it later. Just remember that once you hit the submit button, that's it. Your application is in and you will be no longer able to make any edits or changes to your application. A few additional FAQs that we've compiled over the last few rounds. Generally, mini grant funds cannot be used for equipment purchases where the equipment can be used outside of the scope of the project. If your project also includes an event or activity, there should generally be no cost to participate. If your project is a construction project and it exceeds $25,000 in total project costs, we'll need you to include a site development drawing or plan in your application. Also be aware that any construction project that exceeds $25,000 is subjected to prevailing wage requirements. So keep that in mind as you're drawing out the details for your project. And it's also a good idea to keep in mind that the applicant and the landowner must be the same for any projects that are considered construction projects. If you're looking for some good ideas and would like to know more about projects that have been completed in past rounds, please visit the Laurel Highlands Conservation Landscape Mini Grant Story Map. This is a great resource to understand how some other folks and peers have approached projects in previous rounds. and we'll post the link to the story map along with the recording of this session. Here is my contact info. If you have any questions about any part of the process, the form, or really just want to chat about what can make your project a bit more competitive, please reach out as soon as possible. Always happy to chat about some projects and the priorities that your organization has for this application in 2025. Thanks.